I slid the equipment tray out, and I've just kind of laid it out here on the table with the front hatch. And I've got the the tilt servo on channel 10. Got channel 9 on the pan servo, and then the wire coming for the camera coming over to the connector on the board. So I'll just take those three off. Because I'm going to have to take this board off and open it. Plus, there's some other problems. We just use straight up AETR on Ardu. We don't have to worry about what channels and stuff. It's simple for me when I show you how it works in the setup on this. I hope it's simple for you forever after. Again, AETR, aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder. You can put anything anywhere you want to easily, in my humble opinion. It's just controlled inside the servos, controlled inside the RC channels. We'll show that later. So that's just the Y connector for the aileron. Easy way to do ailerons. You can do ailerons any way you want to. So this is just a little pigtail. Like I say, I'm not going to be able to get down here and plug things in when it's in the fuselage, especially in the field. So just a little pigtail. That's for the elevator. And then 3 is the throttle. Finished with the Skyhunter. Like I say, the pan and tilt out here on these. Channel 11 is mode channel, 12 link quality. Now I have found another problem. And I think it's kind of a big problem. It seems the 6 conductor cable, which was so easy to solder because it was a smaller diameter, is also solid core wire. It's not multi-stranded. And already this green wire has broken loose from the flight controller due to fatigue. And I sit here and kind of moved it back and forth a little bit, and you can feel them all loosening up. They're all going to break off there before long. So flexing this around back and forth to plug in the connector up here on the model is not going to work for me. I don't think soldering straight to the flight controller is going to work for me either right here. While I've got it open, I'm going to go ahead and put pins there, and I'm going to make me up another pigtail like this with pins on it I can hook down here that can be changed every 3 or 4 flights in case there's fatigue in them. But that'll come off of there before long. It seems to be holding up more than whoops, there went another one. The white one just went. Actually, there's 3. So this wasn't a good idea either. My life. Okay. You see those 2 solder pads right there that says 9 volt rise to 12 volts. They aren't bridged. Like I said, I've built about 3 of these this past summer. And I know I jumpered the first one. I'm not sure about the second and third, to tell you the truth. I'm going to have to look back at them. So I'm going to bridge those 2 pads right there and fix my receiver port down here and put it back together. I don't know if you can see it right in there. but those two pads are bridged now. Well, I just wanted to build up solder on two pads and not go between them. It's a little bit of a hassle. Probably should have been more awake this morning too. Now I need to clean these up and put some pins on them. I'm just going to use a solder sucker. This thing works pretty good. Heat them up and then touch the plunger, and it sucks all the solder away. Get that done, and look at that. Every one of them except for the red one ended up breaking off. The red one was the only one I had to remove from the holes. I'll go through them one more time and with a solder sucker, and then we'll put some pins in it. They wanted to be hateful to clean out, but I got them. Well, put some pins in there. There's the pins soldered in. Used green ones this time. Okay, let's button it up. There it is. Hopefully no worse for wear. It went fair. Fair to middling. Well, the question I've been asking since I saw those pads of whether the VTX and camera 1 stayed at 9 volts while VSW did the 9 volt to 12 volt rise, I can now tell you 100% all three of the voltages on the VTX, camera 1, camera 2 rose to 11.89 volts. So we can put that question to bed forever now. That was one of the reasons I didn't solder one of these pads, and it seems to have been on this one. I'm going to check the other two later. Okay, I remounted the flight controller to the equipment tray. This is the video pigtail. I plugged it back in, made sure it was correct. This is just a little pigtail I put for the camera, so it's easy to plug in without getting the polarity as crossed up. On the control side, again, we have the Y connector on aileron, just a little pigtail for the elevator, and then the throttle goes on 3. These can be put anywhere they want on Ardu. It's really easy. Again, I'll show that as we do the software. And the Y connectors, just historically, Y connectors were used way back. Over the years, other shipmates in the Navy were flying airplanes and stuff, and then friends and family since then. Everybody's brought their stuff to me to help build it all those years, although I wasn't flying RC airplanes. Believe me, I got a lot of experience working on other people's stuff for them. They always seem to bring it to me. How does this work? Can you do this for me? Sure. I always try to help people. And then on 9 and 10 back here, I'll put the pan and tilt. 11 will be the mode channel. 12 will be the link quality channel. So let's slide this back in there. I have to put the GPS connector on after it's back in there, and then I've got to make up a connector for the RC receiver now, and it will come up to another one of these, but the pin wires, the solid conductor wire, I think it's solid conductor, I'll look at it deeper, will be wire to wire with a connector that plugs down on those pins, and rather than being right on the board where they fatigue so much, if it's another wire, they'll kind of bend together, and I think it'll last longer. But it'll have to be a constant inspection point after what I found yesterday. Let's do that. There it is back in. Again, all my regular short pigtails to be able to easily connect things. And like I say again, using these kind and using this locking one on the wings probably wasn't the most brilliant idea on the planet, but this is my third airplane build ever. 2 in the last month. My first time using that, and I'm immediately going to throw those connectors out. Well, rats, the wire on those connectors is actually stranded wire. It's not solid conductor wire. I had just tinned them, and that sort of turns them into solid conductor wire, and putting them through the board and then them fatiguing just broke them really easily. Always something. There's my little pigtail for the receiver. Now the flexing will be spread out over the wires and they won't break as easily. I hope it's wired correctly. We'll see. And there it is, plugged back into the board, ready to accept the receiver signals again. So the problem with this side was kind of good. It led me towards discovering another problem and correcting it before it could cause any real problems. First power up's a good time to find stuff like that rather than first flight. Power on. Oh, look. That, even if I shade it, is not the LED segments on the thing showing. So let me hook it to the other transmitter, make sure we're still cool. And back to the original video transmitter. Yeah, baby. Now I have to put it all back together and retest my RC receiver connector, make sure it's okay again. And then, now that we've got a video transmitter, we can test the camera. Let's try this again. We have right aileron, we have left aileron, we have up elevator, we have down elevator. I need to go click and arm the platform. And I'm going to stand well back. Whoops, kick the tripod. There you go. That's all the speed we need. Just a little bit more and then I'll demonstrate the brake. When I turn it off, it stops. And see, that's to bump it around to get it in a position somewhat like that on landing if you can. That's why we would use a brake. This prop, I'm going to disarm it. Good, that's disarmed. This prop, of course, folds back in flight to reduce drag, but putting the brake on and trying to keep it in a horizontal position on landing isn't a bad thing to do. It's the only thing you can do if you put a fixed prop on it. So let's look up and see what we have going on under the wing this time. So under the left wing, we have a working Crossfire Diversity Nano receiver. It's a transceiver in truth. And on the other wing, we have a working 1.2 gigahertz, 1280 megahertz video transmitter. We don't know that it's working for sure yet. I don't have the camera hooked up right now. While I'm turning the model around real quick to demonstrate the airspeed, right here's the airspeed, and it's fluctuating right now because it's calibrates on takeoff. So there you go. You see the numbers go up. Okay, so now there's no more wind on it. So the numbers are going to go back down to low numbers, and so the airspeed sensor is working too. There you go. The video transmitter and the camera is working perfectly. I haven't done any setup on the OSD, but there it is. And now you can see that the pan and tilt works. There you go. You can also see that I will be able to see directly back over the model and even over here where my fat ass is. It goes actually 90 degrees past the rear. What a damn servo. And it is a servo. There I am again. Oops, all the way to the back. And again, 90 degrees further than that. And we can tilt up. And look around there. And we can tilt down and look over the side. There's the airspeed pilot tube, PDOT tube. We can even look inside the model in case we're on fire. And again, straight over the back, up over the back. Just wherever basically I want to look. There we go. So, don't know if I want it on those slider switches. I've got it on right now, but that does work. And I was using this creature to capture all that. This is the big 1.2, 1.3 Video Aerial Systems Pepper Box antenna, which I've mounted all sorts of things on. Got the big pepper box. It's quite large. And up here we have the counterpart to the Mad Mushroom that's on the airplane. We have a mushroom antenna up here on this. This is a second receiver for a secondary antenna. And there's a eagle eyes switching between the two of them. This is a 5.8 pepper box. This is a 5.8 receiver with a pagoda antenna. And then there's a video transmitter on this. And it transmits 5.8 video out this little antenna here, and I can already see that's one of those bad antennas that I threw a bunch of them away. I didn't get this one out of the group, and that one's not worth a hoot. I'll have put another pagoda on this one. And what that is I want to be able to transmit it to my 5.8 goggles, the 1.2. There's multiple reasons for that. One of them is just don't want to do a cable. I've got cables hanging off of them that I do here locally in the yard, but I just don't want to have to run a physical cable over. Now the secondary reason is the 433 and the 915 Crossfire can mess with the 1.2 video. But if you set this 25 to 50 feet away from you to receive the 1.2 video, you can transmit that out the 5.8 to your goggles sitting 50 feet away, and the radio transmitter in your hand will not interfere with its reception. That's one way to do it. There is another way to do it, and I had to do it on the Easy UHF with this exact system. The 433 Easy UHF out of my handheld RC transmitter interfered with this video. And I used a notch filter. I couldn't find the notch filter for the 433. But I did order these because I did talk to Team Black Sheep about interference with what I have here, and they said yes, there could be. tell me what to do about it, tell me why it was happening, and I'll relay that email as we get deeper into this in the future. But this is just a little notch filter. It just goes. If I was having problems, I would just take this antenna right here off. I probably would go get a wrench and basically screw the antenna down on the top of this notch filter, and then screw this notch filter down onto the top of this receiver. And do the same thing for the receiver that's receiving the pepper box too. I have two of them. One for the Mad Mushroom unidirectional antenna, well, omnidirectional antenna, and one for the pepper box extremely directional antenna. But much to my dismay, well, I don't know if I should say dismay, I turned on the 915 Crossfire a second ago. It didn't do a single thing to this setup. I was shocked. Real quick, we'll look at the back of this. On the back of this, you can see the 5.8 receiver here. Here's another 5.8 receiver here. This one is attached to the 5.8 pepper box. This one has this pagoda. They both run down to the Eagle Eyes Diversity down here. There's also a connector runs over to a DVR right here. And also, let's see, I thought I had a battery thing on this. Oops. I'm gonna have to take it off of here. I don't see the battery. I do have a battery thing on it with an alarm and tell me when the battery gets low on it. Just a second, I'm gonna have to take this off the tripod to show you. Right down in here, hidden, is a 5.8 video transmitter that goes out to that little terrible antenna right there on the front, and can be hooked into either of, there's two Eagle Eyes on this. Boy, I probably should just take this off of this completely and set it on the bench. Okay, it just comes off the tripod with a quick release. It's just a tripod connector right there. So one 5.8, one 5.8 comes down into this diversity controller. This mini DVR goes in here. If I'm over on the 1.2 side, I'll plug that mini DVR in over here. This supplies power for this side, which is the main pepper box, the omnidirectional 1.2 receiver, another Eagle Eyes on that side, like I say, and this powers one side, this connector powers the other. And then if you want to do the relay, there's a little other connector that I don't have here for the battery that you plug in right here, and that powers up this 5.8 video transmitter right here that will do a wireless relay of the 1.2 data or the 5.8. It can relay to 5.8 again. You better get a little channel separation if you want to receive 5.8 on these two and then retransmit the 5.8 with this, but there's nothing to stop you from doing it. All you have to do is take this little connector right here off and plug it in over here, or any of these other inputs. There's all sorts of outputs on this thing. On the Eagle Eyes stuff, you just plug the, oops, this was in storage. You just plug the little 5.8 video in over here. There's an adapter here that I didn't take off. Over here instead of over here, and it'll relay the 5.8 instead of the 1.2. And you have to have video and then just a little small pigtail for power. But more for eliminating the interference of 433 and 1.2, which was on the second harmonic up. I did have problems with this setup with the EZ UHF, but I was really just shocked to find that when I turned on the crossfire transmitter, I'm at a low watt. I need to go back and bump that up. I'm really down on like 10 milliwatts. I need to bump that up a little bit and see what happens in the video. So I'll do that in the future. This, 2 eagle eyes, 4 receivers, 2 pepper box antennas, and this big mother was like $125 years ago. It's all mounted on the 1.2 pepper box. It hangs off of a tripod easily with just one quick connection. It's just been a good antenna ground station for me. And again, the 5.8 wireless relay to goggles is more for the 1.2 to keep the 433 RC transmitter away from it than really for relaying the 5.8. But again, in the days since I put all this together, 5.8's changed a lot. But anyway, that's the antenna system I use on the ground for 5.8 and 1.2. Completely one piece except for the battery. It's served me well. I hope to use it a lot in the future. Okay, besides for my interest in upping the power on the crossfire transmitter to see if I can get it to interfere with the 1.2 on the Skyhunter. Not sure what else I could say today. The RC transmitter on the Skyhunter is transmitting at 10 milliwatts. You can't change that. Dynamic link quality will change the power of the crossfire transmitter on the transmitter end in your hand from 10 milliwatts in steps all the way up to 2 watts on my big transmitter and up to 1 watt on my micro version 2 transmitter. Nothing changes on the platform end. So the little 10 milliwatts out on one wing, almost 6 feet away from the 1.2 out on the other wing, is not going to be a problem on the platform side. But there is a very big potential for a problem on this side that I thought I had always attacked in the past with relay 5.8 to get yourself physically away from this unit. Worked on the 433. Well, the notch filters worked on the 433 too. But again, this was a better solution than the notch filters, just to physically get away from this. And also, I'm not sure my goggles and everything I have for goggles will use this composite output. I may have to just retransmit. Use this 5.8 to pick up much longer than, say, my goggles can, but have to relay it through this 5.8 at a different frequency just because I can't physically connect my goggles and this because of the composite output of this. I'm not quite sure about that. I've never tried physically wiring this into my goggles for 5.8 or 1.2. I've always used the 5.8 relay. I need to do them both. Well, that's enough for today. Thank you.